Hi everyone, and it's Kathy here. Welcome to my channel, and if you've been here before, then welcome back. Apologies in advance for my voice and sounding a bit nasally, but I've got one of the many horrible cold viruses that are going around at the moment, so I thought my best thing to do is to sit in my craft room in the warm and bring you a little video. So some of you know that I am from the UK, and I've gone into one of our little shops in the UK on High Street, which is called The Works. So the people that are in the UK, you will be very familiar with The Works. It's quite a nice shop that sells books and reasonably priced toys, always good for children's parties, and some crafty bits as well. So I was in my local town the other day, and I thought I'll pop in The Works and see what they've got going on, and I was quite surprised and quite overjoyed to see that they had a 50% sale. So I thought, oh, this is the best opportunity to go in and get some bits and pieces. So one of the things I picked up from there was this little chalkboard that came with a set of chalks and a little sponge, and it's normally £3, and in the sale it was only £1, so I thought, well, that was well worth picking up. So I thought today I would do a little video showing you how I can make this little chalkboard into either a sign or a useful little notice board, like for a shopping list or something like that. So this little board can either be, because it hasn't got a backing, hasn't got a stand on it, so it can either be used in portrait or landscape. So I'm not quite sure which way around, which orientation I'm going to do the sign, but we'll see as we go along. The supplies I'm going to use today, I will link in the description below this video. So you've already seen my chalkboard. So the vinyl I'm going to use today is by a company called HTVRONT, which I like to use quite a lot of. I've found them really good value for money. Their machines work really well. I've got the HTVRONT auto press, and I've got a tumbler maker and one of their little mini presses as well. But I also like Cricut as a company too. So I've got 2 Cricut machines. I've got a Cricut Joy, which I use for small little projects, and obviously I've got my trusty Cricut maker here, which I love for larger projects, and obviously it does lots of different things anyway. So along with my HTVRONT self-adhesive vinyl, this particular pack comes in 12 by 12 in multicolour. I'm just going to open that up and just show you quickly. You get lots of different colours of vinyl in here, and you also get some transfer tape. So this particular project, I'm going to be using some white. So I've got a 12 by 12 sheet of white vinyl here, and some of the HTVRONT transfer tape, which is really easy to use and very user friendly. I'm also going to need my Cricut scissors and my weeding tool and a scraper, and I'm also going to use my Cricut trimmer to cut my vinyl down to the size that I actually want for the design. So thank you for joining me today. Really happy to have your company, and let's get into the video. So first things first, what we're going to do is bring our chalkboard, and we're then going to use our trimmer to cut down our vinyl. So I've gone onto my design space on Cricut Design Space to find a design, and I also decided to have a look at Creative Fabrica. I have a subscription for Creative Fabrica, which I pay annually, And this year I renewed my subscription this month, and it was actually £66 for the year, which I thought was really reasonable considering there are thousands and thousands of different images in different formats like SVGs and PNGs, which PNGs are for print then cut. And obviously this is going to be a vinyl design, so I've used an SVG, and I found I put into the search bar, I put in chalkboard signs, and it brought up lots of different ones. So I thought, where am I going to use my little chalkboard? So I thought maybe the kitchen would be a good idea. So I'm going to do my design in landscape format as well, landscape orientation. I'll put a picture up of the design and where I got it from, Creative Fabrica, in the video a little bit later. But I thought, first of all, what I've done is go into Cricut Design Space and cut down the design for the size I want for my chalkboard. And this chalkboard actually measures 11 inches by around about 7.5. So I want my design to be in the middle of the chalkboard, and I want to have a little bit of the black around the edge. So I'm going to make my design 10.5 inches by 7.5 inches. This is the bundle that I've chosen from Creative Fabrica. It's called Farmhouse Sign Bundle, and the design I'm going to be using is called Made with Love Country Kitchen. So now what I'm going to do is, I've just brought my little chalkboard back into focus, and I'm going to give it a little bit of a spritz with some rubbing alcohol just to get off any tiny bits of dirt or lint. Let's give that a wipe over. And obviously the rubbing alcohol will just evaporate, and that will hopefully leave us with a nice clean surface. Although it does still pick up little tiny bits of dust. I think that's just the nature of the chalkboard being like a vinyl actual coating on it anyway. So I've done that, and then I have now cut out the design that I'm going to use. So I'm just going to pop that up against the black surface of the chalkboard just to let you have a look to see what it's actually going to look like when it's finished. I've weeded all the little bits out of the design, and it just leaves to take the backing off of the transfer tape. So I'm going to rub the design down onto the transfer tape properly. So I'm going to do that first at the top. And then I always turn it over to make sure that it comes off of the vinyl backing and adheres to the transfer tape so that we can transfer it onto the chalkboard. So give it a good burnish down with a scraper. If you don't have a scraper, you can use the side of edge of a credit card, but scrapers don't have to be Cricut, and they're not very expensive to buy. Good burnish down, and then I find that when I'm taking off the vinyl backing paper, I always start at one corner. Find a corner. Excuse my sniffing. A bit tricky to find to begin with. Might be better just to find transfer tape because it's on the top. Sometimes that's better to find the edge of it. There we go. And then I'm going to take the corner, as I say, and it's normally easier. Keep it as low, as close to the vinyl as you can, and go slowly. That's the key. Make sure it sticks to the bit's raised a little bit. This bit's always the trickiest part. I always find I don't have enough fingers to hold everything. So just very gently go along, just making sure that each of your pieces are on the backing tape and not on the back of the vinyl. That one's lifted, so again, take this really, really gently and slowly. Oops. And then, as soon as you can, start going diagonally. But just push the piece down. It seems to be lifting, but you're going to have to keep an eye on each little letter and character. To make sure that it stays down. Nice and slowly. Keep it as close down to the vinyl as you can. So as soon as I've got enough, I can bend the vinyl backing. Oops, that's a bit lifting there. Each time you find a little bit, just literally flatten it with your finger onto the transfer tape. Just keep your eye all the time on your design, from top to bottom, to make sure you don't lose a piece. Very gently does it. There we go. Oh, now I'm stuck to it. Okay, oh, do excuse my sniffing. Oh, and see, I've lost a little letter there. So, what I do in those circumstances, because obviously it happens, is I take off the letter very carefully with my pokey tool. My little weedy tool. Actually, I might do it with my finger so I don't mark it with the weeding tool. And you can see none of the other letters have stuck to there, which is good. So it's just this little E, and obviously I've got to put it on backwards. So I'll have a look at my design, find out where the E's come from, and then obviously turn it. It's going to be the sticky side, so I want to have it upside down. So I'll put the edge of my weedy tool just on the tiny end of the little letter that I'm trying to reposition. Find out exactly where it's supposed to go and line it up as best as I can. There we go. And then the back end of my weeder, I just literally just stick it down. And that can also help me to remove my fingers from it. Okay. So, last thing to do is to put the design on the chalkboard. Now all my rubbing alcohol is all dried. Give it a little blow just to get rid of any tiny bits of dust. And I'm going to decide which I want to be my top of my chalkboard. I think it's going to be that one. So then just get my design and hover over where you want it to go. So I've basically made this, hopefully it's going to be round about straight. And then very gently, because it's got a few little kinks in it, just going to rub my fingers over very gently and get rid of any bubbles. And transfer tape. And I might have to reposition that E once I've taken the tape off, because it doesn't look as though that's in exactly the right place. But I should be able to do that once I've... And then all I do then, I'm not going to scrape the E down, because if that comes off, that's fine. I need to replace that onto the actual chalkboard. Lay that down correctly. And I'm going to burnish the rest of the design onto the chalkboard. Because this chalkboard has, as I say, got a bit of a vinyl type plastic coating on it, hopefully the adhesive on the vinyl that I'm putting down on should adhere quite well. There we go, so fingers crossed. Take my little pokey tool again. It's going to turn my ring light off there, sorry, because it was causing a reflection. And I'm going to take one corner very gently so that I don't scratch the chalkboard. Take a corner of the tape. That's if the tape wants to raise. So I'm going to go here where I can get hold of it. Might have to scrape that out with my finger actually. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is really very carefully go diagonally, looking all the time to make sure all my letters have actually stuck to the chalkboard. It's looking okay at the moment, but again, I know this is a slow process, but to get it right, you've got to take your time and have a little bit of patience. I've learnt that over the time. I used to be very impatient, and then I used to wonder why none of my design used to stick where I wanted it to. So I've learnt to be a little bit more patient now. Looking good so far. Looking good. As I say, this HTVRONT adhesive transfer tape is really easy to use. And then I'm just going to pop that over. There we go, get that out of the way. Now all I've got to do is literally just reapply the E. So I'm going to gently, gently, gently take that off. May have got a little bit bent, but hopefully it won't notice too much once it's on the design. So then again, I'm going to put my poke tool right on the end of the E, and then try and get that, whoopsie daisy. Oh, now where's it gone? They always want to stick where you don't want them. Stick on there, silly thing. There we go. Now I'm going to very carefully try and line that up. Probably going to be better if I do it this way. So get it placed into the correct place where I want it. So I want to line it up with the A. Get a good spacing. That's where you need a bit of a steady hand. And just pop it down. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. So there we go. I mean, it's my kitchen, so I'm quite happy to have that. So there we go. Made with love, always fresh, country kitchen. Eat well, laugh often, and love much. So that's the finished chalkboard. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you so much for my company. And if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing. And I'll be bringing lots of other Cricut related projects along in the future. And I've got lots of other things, new types of craft that I want to have a go at this year. So I've got all those in the pipeline. So if you think this is the sort of thing you'd like to watch, then just click the subscribe button. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.